I'm Marco Werman. I'm the host of the public radio program The World on, it's on KPBS. Cheap plug there every day at 2, 5 days a week, and on 300 stations across the country. We are the only international news show on public radio. We come to you from WGBH Boston and the Public Radio Exchange, and I am based at UCSD as the first journalist in residence. And I was invited to start things off today, getting things going. So here we are. I'm just delighted to be invited and to be speaking with all of you. Design. I mean, it goes without saying, and I'm coming at this from a very kind of amateurish perspective, but I think about design all the time. It's in my life, and when it's good, it makes me really happy, and when it's bad, I get angry, and I wonder why that is. The good, for example, I've been a sleep dilettante all my life, sleeping on really bad mattresses. I never really had a bed. I kind of constructed stuff out of 2x4s and slept on that. Finally got serious about it in my 60s. Got a bed that is Japanese joinery. There are no nails. It just like fits together, no gaps. It doesn't make a squeaky noise when you get in. I got a good mattress, this hybrid thing. It's like springs and foam, so you get a little squishy. It also holds you up, and it doesn't disturb your partner when you get in bed. They call that isolation factor in the mattress business. So I'm like really good, and it's just making me really happy. I'm sleeping really well. On the bad side of things, can we have that slide there? It's a picture of the coaster schedule that the train that comes from, there we go. Poor train schedules. They just can't design it any better than this. But the design is not really the point. I mean, I'm looking at the schedule. I'm trying to get to UCSD by 6 a.m., 6:30 from Oceanside. There's a little asterisk at Sorrento Valley. That means it doesn't stop there anymore since 2018. Makes it really problematic. Now, I came down this morning. I was all prepared to give a big bash of, the coaster and California's rail system, or rather non-existent rail system. But it actually worked for me this morning. It was fantastic. It's one of the most beautiful train rides you can take, Oceanside along the coast down to San Diego. But the problem is, it doesn't take you up on campus. There are a lot of people who get out at Sorrento Valley and they get on a shuttle and then they go to campus, and there's a new trolley that comes right onto campus. So couldn't we do better? And so that's what I'm thinking. It gets me angry when I'm sitting on the 5 and thinking about this, usually stuck in traffic, and I see that empty median going up and down the 5, the Grapevine, up and down California. Couldn't you just stick a monorail on that? And people would be on the highway thinking, why am I not up there and I'm down here stuck in traffic? What I find remarkable about all of this is that every one of these questions kind of is going to touch on what you'll be discussing in the tracks of the next few days. Innovation and creativity, health, and borders. Obviously, when you talk about trains, why couldn't that train go all the way down into Mexico and all the way up into Canada? So, to discuss this and to basically take this session as a kind of show and tell of what your options are for the tracks for the next few days, I'm going to invite on stage with me right now the people involved, and we'll be chairing these tracks. And why don't you join me up here as I call your name, starting, even 14-point on doesn't help. For the Beyond Borders track, the double chairs of Tad Seth-Parzen and Richard Kai, please join me. Tad is co-founder, president, and CEO of the Burnham Center for Community Advancement. Richard is the president CEO at the Institute of the Americas at UCSD. For the Beyond Creative track, Jonathan Gluss, join us up here, please. Jonathan is the director at the Department of Cultural Affairs for the City of San Diego. Welcome. Beyond Health, Dr. Elia Aronoff-Spencer, please join us. The good doctor is a professor of medicine and design at UCSD, and the director of the Center for Health Design. And finally, Beyond Innovation, Mai Huynh, the director of the Design Lab at UCSD. Mai, welcome. So as I said, they're here with me for a kind of show and tell of sorts that is aimed at helping you decide what you're going to basically be a part of for the next couple of days. Maybe you already know what track you're going to be in. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you're ready to have your mind changed. So that's what we're going to just like hear for the balance of the program what you guys are going to be up to. So let me start, Tad and Richard. Beyond Borders, what is the basic concept around this track?
Well, and I'm going to take a point of privilege and go slightly off subject for just 30 seconds here. There's somebody not here today who many believe is the father of the concept of San Diego and Tijuana as one community. And his name is Mahlon Burnham. It is his 97th birthday today. Absolutely, right on. And I think I saw his eldest son, John Burnham, in the crowd earlier. John, are you here? All right, well, if you are, we all of us, I'm guessing 350 people, wish your dad a most beautiful birthday. And it just happens that Mahlon, this is part of Mahlon's vision of how we would work together as a region. If you look at our region from a blimp, you'll see a metropolitan area of about 6 million people. And we work together cross-border in a multinational context. We have here something no one else in the world has. We have nations that have been here for 1,000 years or more. We have nations that have been here for 250 years, and some less, some more. And people from all over the world. And we function as this multicultural community in spite of all the crazy border and immigration rhetoric, in spite of a hard wall. Thank you for looking at your clock. I get the hint. And we do it really well and offer the world an example of what can happen in spite of those poor design challenges. So Beyond Borders, to us at the Burnham Center, is all about reimagining what it would be like in our region and what we could show the world about how it can happen right here in our corner of North America if we reimagine that border, use design thinking, human-centered design thinking, to deliver the most effective, security-wise, culturally, and commercially functional border that you can imagine in your dreams. And there's nothing stopping us besides years and years of bad design and bad political culture. So that's why we've put on this piece of the conversation today. So I hope you'll join us for that.
Well, if I can add and complement what Tad has just said, we constructed the Beyond Borders track, and I hope that you'll all join us. We've got 7 panels, 2 keynotes. We did it very intentionally, looking at not just the San Diego-Tijuana border region, but trans-border metro areas around the world. There's close to 60 binational metro areas globally. We have 15 in North America. We have 3 represented in our conference over the next 2 days. In addition to San Diego, Tijuana, and the broader Cali-Baja region, we have representatives from Juarez, El Paso, as well as Windsor, Detroit. Each of these cities, and we heard from Dr. Moore about her hometown, Buffalo and Niagara. Each of these binational regions face shared economic, housing challenges, environmental challenges, workforce development challenges, and we're going to touch on all of those in our various sessions. We have an excellent panel focusing on transboundary governance with Dr. Martha Gilmer, who is the commissioner of the IBWC, with Mayor Aguirre from Imperial Beach, and Tud Kozlowski from the Walton Family Foundation, that will be looking at transboundary governance for water resource management in the broader Colorado River basin, but also here in the San Diego-Tijuana River with the river. We'll be looking at issues related to housing, urban mobility, and workforce development. Mary Walshak, who's here, will be moderating a panel focusing on educating a binational workforce. We've got a wonderful kickoff session with Consul General from Mexico, Alicia Kerber, and U.S. Consul General Chris Teal. They'll be talking about building a binational region that doesn't depend solely on federal governments, but it depends on state and local governments and civil society and academia. So there's a lot to unpack in our 2 days, and we hope that you'll join us.
Very quickly, before I move on to Jonathan, I mean, if you take like the time horizon that Patty Moore sketched out of 100 years, what do you want people coming out of this track to be thinking and seeing?
Well, I think, without getting political, I think that we need to look beyond the next 4 years. We need to be looking at how we build bridges and not barriers. Irrespective of our federal governments, we have a community here, a binational community that works very well together. And so I hope that the takeaway from the Beyond Borders session will be that together we can construct better design, but we can also build and rebuild a better binational community.
Fantastic, thank you. Let's move on to Beyond Creative. Jonathan Glass, what do the next couple of days look like for you and your track?
So, I think, riffing a little bit on what Richard just said, when we were thinking about this, we wanted this conference to respond to the goals of World Design Organization. But we wanted this to be wholly about San Diego, Tijuana, and our experience here. We want to provide a forum for 2 days where the world is here, getting to know our region perhaps in a different way, a more intimate way than many of our visitors otherwise would have experienced our region. But in addition to that, we want to learn from our colleagues across the world. In the case of Beyond Creative, we are really digging into 2 things. One is creative economy, and the second one is democratizing or demystifying this thing called design. I'm the Director of Cultural Affairs for the City of San Diego, which is a pretty general title. It generally means arts and culture. But really what it means is advancing creativity, the product of creativity, and how it makes our communities better. We have colleagues from across the world who are here to share their work from the last 20, 25, 30 years. Edna dos Santos Duesenberg is here, who led work at the United Nations. We're delighted to have you here, Edna. We have colleagues that have been leading work here in the United States for the last few decades. So we're starting globally, and then we're going to look at work that has been happening at the national level and the North American level. Just a couple sparks. The World Creativity Festival has been taking place over the last few years, not in the United States though. So we want to plant seeds of how we can actually move things forward here in the States. Being a better partner on the global stage, and especially this place that we are in history right now. As far as democratizing design, because we do have this luxury of being this binational region, colleagues at universities, both here in here in San Diego and in Baja at CETIS, have been working on a concept of building a design strategy that bridges our region, number one, and number two, also does in fact demystify this notion of design and actually employs design in making our neighbors better, our neighborhoods better, our community better, individuals that live and breathe in this community on a daily basis.
How do you think the international input is going to affect the picture of the creative economy in the Tijuana, San Diego region? What do you see kind of emerging over the next few days when we talk about that?
You know, creative economy is global, but it's highly regional as well. So we have different definitions, every place on the planet, of what creative economy means. So one of the things that we do is we actually struggle within the conversation about what creative economy is. It's a healthy struggle, but I think bringing some of the best practices that have been taking place elsewhere in the world, especially in Asia, will help us define creative economy here locally.
And you introduced me to the doyen of creative economy, Edna from Geneva. Welcome. Honor to have you. James, how much time do we have until 10 or 5 minutes? We've got to move it. Dr. Elia Aronoff-Spencer, I was admiring this rover and the ER in a backpack. That is very tantalizing. Tell us what we're going to expect in Beyond Health over the next few days.
Thank you. I'll go quick. I have to do I'm an NPR fan. I have to thank Dawn for teaching me how to wear hats correctly. I have to thank Mai for really pulling this off with everyone. I want to invite you to and I'm going to call it out. We have a tri-national region here. That's a pretty amazing, special place. Like this building, I think this country right now is in a state of in-betweenness. And so with a place that could be anything but isn't right now exactly what we want, we're taking that into our health and high-res track. So what we did is we asked the question, working with Mai, what can we do that's a little different, something to leave a legacy? And I had an itch, which is, I don't know how many people have been to policy conferences or conferences that didn't lead anywhere. And so I think one of the obvious pieces of this conference is to be inclusive, and you can look around and it's inclusive. I mean, from parts of the world, from parts of San Diego we don't see. So I can't contribute more to that. This has been done well here. But our second theory on why we don't get work done is that we don't invite our superpowers to work. So our superpowers, the things that make us great when we're children, that turn us into wonderful humans, are curiosity, play, love, passion. We see them in art, in music. And except for maybe a few people lucky in this room, you're not allowed to bring any of that to work. Put your suit on, take away everything that makes you human. So what we've done, and if you want evidence, is we've tried to go a little bit beyond the borders of where we take health. So what we want to do is we say this: we need health. It's like air and water. We should all have it. It should not be asked for from our hospital. And when we go to universal health, it's not making lots of expensive hospitals all around the world. So what we've done is we've structured our work as a day of inspiration where hopefully every speaker will get up and tell you something they already did that changed the world, and you won't believe them. While it's filtering in, you're going to come tonight and you're going to watch Mexican wrestling, symphony, and you're going to experience science as art. And hopefully inspired, and maybe, I don't know what the state you're going to be in after luchador and music. It should be maybe blank for tomorrow, where I can't invite everybody because everybody has to go to some track, but we want to build a resilient healthcare system. So I've brought in some ringers, and I don't have the time to name them, but these are pretty special people who've built universal healthcare in other countries. And they're here to help us. And then our speakers are going to show you it's not as hard as it looks. We have a system over there that covers 80% of the diseases you might have, from a UTI to a microsurgery, and it's already come back from Mars, and we're going to work with it today. So I invite you to be inspired today on our Mexican wrestling stage, where we'll be holding our part of this. And then tomorrow we're going to build a resilient healthcare challenge that we help make San Diego, tri-national region, the reference design for the world, not the best, just the reference design. But we have some pretty great listeners, like the County of San Diego's Deputy Public Health Officer. We have people from the state, and we're working with the United Nations on the Post-Sustainable Development Goals. So come build this with us, sign on to the letter, and over the next few years, we're going to build the best, most amazing healthcare system around. And I got to stop and give it to Mai.
Thank you very much. Yes, so ER in a backpack and lucha libre, very intriguing. Mai Huynh, we've been talking about the conference for well over a year and a half now, and here we are. Beyond Innovation, what's that looking like over the next few days?
So we conceived of this track as both innovations that are forcing us to change policies, like AI, and also how can we actually use design to shape better policy. So it kind of goes both ways, right? So what has been the most transformative innovation in our lifetime? The cell phone, right? Marty Cooper, the inventor of the wireless phone, will be speaking tomorrow. Marty is well into his 90s, but very, very spry and funny. So looking forward to having him there. But so we have, a 96-year-old, and then we also have a youth panel where we have a speaker, Emma Weibel, who is 17. She and a number of other youth are suing the EPA because they are not doing enough to save the planet for their future, right? And then we have all types of very inspirational innovators across many different dimensions. We've got educators who are innovating across education. We've got car designers. We've got Sabrina Johal, who's going to talk about the promise of nuclear fusion to provide us with limitless energy. So we're not just talking about innovations today, but the transformative innovations that will change our world for the next 100 years. And so it's very diverse. It's going to be a little surprising, some of the speakers, but it's supposed to really spark your imagination of what could be possible if we do design a future that is inclusive and sustainable for all.
Fantastic, thank you. So there you have it. Those are the 4 tracks. Maybe you've already made up your mind, but yeah, if I were in your shoes right now, I'd be pretty confused. So thank you all very much, and the best of luck over the next 2 days.